In special schools, it was all behavioral. There were no real permanent changes. Year after year, kid after kid, you see the same thing happening again and again. And you're just at a loss of what to do. So when I met you and you explained to me what RDI was about and how it really affects real changes through neurological changes, the firing of the neurons, and all that was so mind blowing for me that, yeah, I was immediately sold.
Welcome to Shared Steps, the RDI Journey. I'm Genevieve. Here we explore real conversations and meaningful insights about supporting neurodivergent children and families. Today, I'm sitting down with Hong Yin, our psychologist and head of assessment at Children's Partnership. We will be talking about RDI, what it is, why it matters, and why so many families tell us it changes the way they relate to their children. Hong Yin brings such a thoughtful, grounded perspective, and she always knows how to ask the questions that parents are thinking but don't always say out loud. So let's dive in. Hi Hong Yin, thank you for joining us for today's podcast.
My pleasure. So, Jen, what led you to RDI?
It started when I was working in the hospital. We had sent our team of psychologists into the mainstream school one year to follow up with a few of our kids. So we each took one school. We got special permission from the hospital that year, and we followed the kids for about 2 weeks to see how they integrated into the mainstream. And the really sad thing was that not a single one of them integrated well.
Wow.
And keep in mind, this was in spite of having a team of occupational therapists, speech therapists, psychologists, all working together to help our kids prepare. And we did all your, structured teaching. We even had a school readiness where we taught them how to organize their stuff, pack their bags and everything. And it just didn't work. That really disheartened me. And I have to say, for a period of time, I was like really sad because of all the hard work we put in, and all the kids didn't integrate. And by didn't integrate well, this is what I mean. The kid that I followed, the teacher was so well-meaning, put him in between two girls.
Okay.
All right. Sounds good, right? For the girls to like help him, support him.
That's nice.
Yeah. But the issue was that the girls, being girls, they like to talk.
Oh dear.
So they started talking across him. With all the noise and all the things happening in the class, you could see he was overwhelmed. And you could see on his face he started to shut down.
Oh dear.
One of the things he did to try and detach himself from the situation was to go and sharpen his pencil. He sharpened his pencil a lot, okay? The well-meaning teacher, when I asked her, how do you think he's doing? The teacher said, oh, he's doing very well. He's so well-behaved. He's so quiet. But even she didn't notice how shut down he was. Yeah. So that was the really sad thing to see with a lot of our kids that integrate. Like I said, I was sad for a while. And I decided that, well, I can remain sad and remain satisfied that we've done the best we can and this is the best we can hope for. Or I can do something and try and figure out how we can do better. So that's what led me to research and stumble onto RDI. So at that time, I found out that Dr. Gutstein was doing a 2-day talk in Brisbane. So I took personal leave and flew down to see what he had to say. Because basically what I read online sounded too good to be true. It sounded like a cure-all, solve all kind of thing. So when I went down, it made a lot of sense what he said. He based it on research on neuroplasticity. He based it on research that had to do with how parents guide their kids.
Right.
And he based it on a lot of neurotypical developmental research. It made a lot of sense to me.
Yes.
And that's what led me to take the plunge. By the end of that same year, I had tendered my resignation. Because they offered me the post of a senior psychologist. And I realized that if I were to take on that position, I would not be able to do RDI.
Wow.
Because
imagine if you had done that instead.
Yeah. I took that leap of faith
Mm.
and I went for RDI training later that year.
How long did it take?
Well, back then, the training was done back to back.
Mm.
So the beginning and the intermediate were done together across 2 weeks.
Okay.
Uh,
Intense.
intense,
Yeah.
very intense.
So much to absorb during that 2 weeks.
It was. Then after that, we came back. We did the professional supervision
Okay.
before we finally finished off with the advanced training.
Wow.
And back then, all the training was not online. So we had to fly down to Houston.
No
A
such
few
thing as
times.
Zoom yet.
Yeah, no such thing as Zoom yet. That was before the days of Zoom. That was the days of
Yeah.
dial-up. So yes. So when we submitted our
Bygone days.
yeah, when we submitted our clips, we had to pray that nobody called while we were uploading because yeah, those were the days.
Yes,
You can tell
yes.
how old I am.
Just carbon dated yourself. Okay.
That's how RDI came to be. For me, I felt that there had to be something better for our kids.
Actually, same here. When you first shared with me about RDI, what impressed me the most was actually the neurological aspects of this entire form of therapy. Because prior to that, in special schools, with my experience and everything, it was all behavioral. And really felt like we were just at the tip of the iceberg. There were no real permanent changes. And it was really disappointing. Like you said, disheartening. Year after year, kid after kid, you see the same thing happening again and again. And you're just at a loss of what to do. So when I met you and you explained to me what REL was about and how it really affects real changes through neurological changes, the firing of the neurons, all that was so boom, so mind-blowing for me that, yeah, I was immediately sold.
And that's the thing that a lot of professionals have said. A lot of professionals that have gone through RDI training, they say the same thing. It's like, you do so much, and at some point, it hits a wall.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you can't get past that. And you keep wondering, what else? What
Yeah.
else can push that kid beyond that wall that they've hit? It's like they plateau at a certain point.
Yeah. And I think for you and I, we see that, this is not enough. This is not enough for them to survive. Yeah. So they actually need that extra little bit more of help. But where can this come from? It's really only through real neurological changes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, that's exactly what RDI is. People always ask, oh, what is RDI?
Yes, I question a lot.
Yeah, because it's sometimes can be hard to explain.
Yeah.
RDI looks at developmental foundations, okay, such as your emotional regulation, your perspective taking, your mindful communication, and your flexible thinking. It teaches you how to think rather than just what to do, which is what you look at when you look at a behavioral approach.
That's right.
That's actually essentially a very simple explanation of RDI.
There's so many aspects to it.
Yeah. But touching on what you mentioned with neuroplasticity, okay, if we want to expand on that, that is actually one of the research areas that Dr. Gutstein looked at when he developed RDI.
I see.
So neuroplasticity, in simple terms, it actually means that the brain can change and it can grow. It's not fixed. It's like when in early years, I don't know whether it's early enough for when you were trained, but in early times, we used to think, the brain, there are certain critical periods, and once you're past those critical periods, that's it.
Yes, that's what we were taught as well. Yeah.
Right? But that's not true. And now we've learned this, with all the MRI scans that scientists have done, especially the neuroscientists, we understand that the brain is capable of growth, even when the brain gets damaged, which is how neuroplasticity actually came about. It was through stroke patients.
I see.
Right? So what they did was they did MRI scans of these stroke patients and found that the injured parts of the brain actually remain damaged after the stroke. But what's amazing about our brains is that it has the ability to continue forming connections in the areas that are not damaged.
Right.
And that's how stroke patients learn to walk, learn to use their hands and all that again, right?
Very amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And that's the premise of RDI. We understand that when we provide new experiences, when we try out a new approach, or when we do something different, the brain is making new connections.
That's right.
So a simple way to remember this is Dr. Daniel Siegel's a quote from him. What he says is that where attention goes, neural firing flows and neural connection grows.
Grow.
Yeah, amazing, right?
He made everything rhyme.
Yes. And the simple thing is that it's just where you focus your attention, that is where your brain connections start to develop.
That's right.
And that has a real significant impact for the kids that we work with, the families that we work with. Because what that means is that if we can structure the right experiences, that is how we can support the development of our kids.
So, Jen, a lot of parents are actually more familiar with skills-based kind of interventions. How would you then explain to them how RDI is different?
Okay. So with RDI, the focus is on the developmental foundations, right? We don't just look at the static skills. Static skills like reading, writing, math, all these are very, very important skills,
Yes.
okay? But that alone is not going to be enough with the dynamics of the world around us.
Right.
And that's one of the things we saw when we went into the schools, that it was so dynamic, things were so unpredictable. The scripts that they learned, all that planning and organization that we taught them, it just wasn't enough because there's too much unpredictability.
That's right. Yeah.
I'll tell you a story about one of our kids that went into primary school. This was a different kid, one of the kids that went through RDI with us. So when he went into the primary school, during his first week of school, he was left behind by the bus. Can you imagine?
Nightmare.
I know, right? Even for any child, right? In that situation, first week, everything was new, environment new, teachers new, peers new. It's a formula for a meltdown to happen, right?
Yeah.
Because the stress, the anxiety.
Yeah.
But because he went through RDI,
Right.
because he worked on the dynamic processes, what he did was, oh, and mind you, I forgot to add, his teacher went home.
His teacher went home.
His teacher went home.
Checking.
His teacher wasn't even in school. I think she thought that maybe he went with the, you know how they always have, right? She probably thought he went with the bus group.
Oh.
So yes, his teacher went home. So what he did was that he went to the class next door.
Okay.
And thankfully there was a teacher there.
That's quick thinking.
Yeah,
actually.
right?
Yeah.
So he explained to her what had happened. Of course, she helped call the bus back. Then when he went home that night, his mom asked him, well, what would have happened if you went to the class next door and the teacher wasn't there? So he told his mother, it's fine. I'll just go to the general office because there's always somebody there.
Wow.
Imagine that.
Yes.
So it was so amazing, you know. And this is something we could never have prepared him for, because who would have imagined something like that could have happened?
Exactly.
We would never have taught that exact scene or that exact script. But because we work on the foundations, we work on the processing, the dynamic processes of being able to think creatively, being able to problem solve. So much so that when plan A didn't work, you could go to plan B and plan C even, you know? And that is one of the foundations of RDI. The other thing that makes RDI different is that we learn to regulate our emotions. With a lot of our kids, that's a very hard area.
Yes. Actually, not just with our kind of kids, but all kids.
All kids.
Some adults.
Yes, that is true. You know, how many times have we ourselves, you know?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So regulation of emotions is important because when we don't regulate, what happens? We lose the plot.
Yeah.
Right? And we do things that we later regret because we weren't in a position to think clearly.
Oh, I'm getting all these memories. Trauma of all the things I've said.
So that's the thing. Learning to regulate for our kids becomes a very important thing.
Mm,
So that's another area that RDI focus on.
mm.
And we do a lot of this through parents.
Ah,
So that is a key difference with RDI.
mm,
And that's why we say RDI will work with any child, whether they are neurodiverse or not.
mm.
Because basically, who wouldn't benefit from having dynamic processes?
That's right.
Everyone would,
Yeah.
right? In fact, one of the fathers used to tell me, I think some of my staff need this. That's the difference. We always say RDI will support every child, but it may not be the right fit for every family
Ah, okay.
because we do it through the parents.
Mm,
And that is pretty much one of the main difference. We use the what we call the guided participation relationship.
mm,
And the reason why we do this is because again, Dr. Gutstein, who's read a lot of research when he came out with RDI, he read the works by Barbara Rogoff.
okay.
She's a developmental psychologist.
Mm,
And what she did was she went round to different cultures around the world
right.
and she looked at all the different cultures. And one thing that was consistent in all cultures was the guided relationship.
Mm,
That in all cultures, regardless of socio-economic status, language, anything, there was always a more experienced guide
mm-hmm,
guiding and mentoring to the child.
mm.
And that's how it's been since the dawn of time.
I see. I see.
So that's the premise of why we work with parents.
Mm,
And if you think about it, we're very familiar with the therapy model,
yeah.
right? Where
Mm-hmm.
our kids go for therapy once a week. Okay, that's normal. And there's nothing wrong with therapy once a week.
Yeah.
But the reality is, how much can therapy once a week do for a child?
Mm-hmm.
Especially when we guide parents and parents are able to find moments to guide the child throughout the entire day.
Yeah.
What's that compared to therapy once a week?
Mm.
So that's what we do with RDI. In being mindful and how we guide the families, we teach them to look for opportunities during the day,
Right.
whether it's taking a walk,
Mm.
climbing stairs. In Singapore, we live in apartments, right? There are a lot of
Lots of
stairs,
stairs.
lots of stairs to climb. Climbing stairs,
Can get healthy also.
yeah, packing their bags,
Mm.
preparing a simple snack, all
Mm.
things throughout the day. This is
Everyday moments.
everyday moment.
Yeah.
And what we say to parents, you don't have to sit down for hours to do RDI.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't. But what we need to do is we need to find these moments. And through these moments, we guide families to learn how to integrate their goals for their child within these moments.
Mm.
So those 2 to 3 minutes spread out throughout the day
Mm-hmm.
starts to add up.
That's right.
And
That's
it
right.
starts to add up a lot,
Mm.
such that by the end of the week, can you imagine how much time has been spent guiding the child?
Yep.
Every moment doesn't have to be long. In fact, it shouldn't be long. It's really 2 to 3 minutes a day.
Wow. Can you share with us a moment when you saw RDI really come alive for a family?
Okay, there have been actually many moments with many
I'm
kids,
sure.
you know.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why I'm thinking of writing more stories,
Oh, yes, please.
you know, to talk about all the different stories
Yes.
of the different kids. But
Love
I
the
suppose
story.
the one that has shown a huge impact
Mm.
on the family especially
Mm.
has been this young boy. I met him when he was just, I think, 2.
Just two.
Yeah, so he
Wow.
was one of the youngest that I've worked with.
Oh.
And not only was he just 2, he was very developmental delayed,
Oh,
global developmental
oh,
delay.
okay.
His walking gait was unsteady.
I see.
And when you put something in the palm of his hand, there was no grasp reflex.
Oh.
That's how delayed. Where even little infants, right? When you put a finger, they can
Yeah.
grasp.
Yeah.
But for him, there was nothing. You could put something and then gently press down, and his hand still
There's no
remained
response.
no response. His
Mm.
hand remained limp and unresponsive.
Okay.
So that's how delayed he was. And I remember the first day when the family came. I mean, I tried not to show it to the family, but the first day when the family came after they left, I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh.
What am I going to do?
What am I gonna do?
Mild
You
panic
know?
attack.
Yeah, I've worked with so many kids in the special school, in the hospital, and everything, but I never met one who was so delayed, and I really didn't know what to do.
Mm.
And so what we did was, because all he could do, right, he couldn't grasp anything,
Right.
his gait was unsteady, all he could do was walk. And so that's what we did. Walk for 6 months. Walk doing the RDI way with intentional goals and objectives in mind.
Intentional walking.
Intentional
Yeah.
walking, yes. So we walk. We just spent 6 months, okay? Talk about a leap of faith from the parents
I
as
was going to say,
well.
most impressive that the parents allow you
Yeah.
to just walk with them.
So 6 months, all we did was walk. And I remember the dad was saying, if he went to work, right, and told his colleagues that he paid for therapy and all they did was walk, his colleagues would have thought he was crazy.
But I'm sure he knew that something else was going on other than the
Yeah.
walking. That's why he would have persisted
And
for
the
6
thing
months.
is, for the first few weeks, we never made it past the door.
The door of
Of
the therapy place?
Yes. Because we would take a few steps and he would melt down.
Oh, I see.
And that's where we had to we do this thing called reframing the resistance that Dr. Gutstein developed. So we reframe the resistance.
Wow.
We spent a lot of time reframing the resistance.
6 months?
6 months. But what was amazing is that after that 6 months, not only did he start to co-regulate with us. Co-regulating means, cooperate, walk together with us, no longer those meltdowns.
Right.
He was really with us. And he was so with us that other areas started to develop. Remember this boy with no grasp reflex?
Yeah.
Suddenly, he could start holding things.
What do you think was happening?
I think his mind started to, remember how Dr. Siegels talk about focus? He started to focus. And because he started to focus, he started to attend, all those connections started to
forming.
develop.
Wow.
That was the amazing thing. A boy who was so significantly delayed, right, was able to start to really move along that developmental pathway. And something that we never thought would have happened is that he developed so well. Yes, he still went to a special school. No, he never went to the mainstream. But he developed so well that his school, not us, his school chose him to do an internship at a hotel because they thought he was capable.
So awesome.
Yeah, so that's the amazing thing. He became a
Incredible.
young adult who others recognize as being competent and capable.
Wow. Oh, I really felt that.
And that's the thing, right? Because we both have worked in the special school.
Yes.
And we know the prognosis of some of the young adults
Yes.
who have gone through the special school. No shade on the teachers in the special school. They've done the best they can.
Of course.
All right?
Of course.
With what knowledge they have. But that's the thing, you see.
Yeah.
We used to work that way. We used to just focus on the behavior.
Yeah.
And it could only get the kids that far. And you and I both know of many young adults who are now sadly confined to their homes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a sad truth.
But with this boy, it was so different. And imagine that this was the most delayed child I had ever worked with. And for him to achieve this.
And then now he's a hotel staff.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So Jen, we also have a lot of professionals who may be listening to this podcast. So from your perspective, what do you think is valuable about RDI for them?
In the past, we've always used a behavioral approach.
Yes.
We always look at the behavior. And as I believe a lot of professionals would have seen, is that when we only focus on the behavior, it's nothing wrong with looking at the behavior.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
But when we only focus on the behavior, then we will find that we will hit a plateau that we cannot move past.
Yes.
And in this day and age, when we know we can do better, we should do better. And I think professionals, if they're willing to consider training in RDI, they will find that they will be able to change how their practice works and how they work with families to really have real impact and real change that they can see with the kids that they work with. They will be able to grow up as adults, not confined to homes, but can lead really productive lives, lead lives to their fullest capacity, fullest potential. And I know that every professional who goes in this field is passionate about doing that.
Yes.
And this offers them that.
So what would you suggest then for anyone who wants to take one step further into understanding RDI, whether they are a parent or a professional?
Okay. So one thing that they can start with today, right, is to really slow down and observe. And we want to ask ourselves, in terms of this behavior, what is it really telling us? Because behavior is communication. It's the child trying to tell us, I feel stress. I'm feeling anxious. I don't feel good. I don't know what to do. Or I can't handle your emotions right now.
Okay.
Right? It could be a whole multitude of these things. And we need to understand what is that behavior trying to communicate to us. When we can change the way we look at behavior as something that we need to fix and move into something that the child is using to communicate to us, then from there, we can then figure out how we can best support this child so that we can help them resolve whatever it is that they are experiencing.
Like, for example, stimming behaviors. I hear that a lot. Like, oh, we should stop this. This cannot continue, and then they try to actively stop the child. And then that behavior will then, well, even if you successfully stop it, which I think 85% of the time you cannot, it will then morph into something else because it's actually communicating about something deeper and an urge or a need.
That's right. That's right. So that's the reason why we have to look and see what that behavior is communicating. Because if we only try to stop the behavior, then what happens is that we're always firefighting.
Exactly.
Because like what you said, even if we manage to stop one behavior, another will take its place. Because the underlying issue has not been addressed.
Right.
So we have to also look at what is happening so that we can address the underlying issue. That is the only way that we can really truly help the child.
Yes.
And also for the child to feel like, hey, you see me, you get me,
you understand
and
me.
you understand. Hong Yin, thank you for joining us today.
It's my pleasure.
Well, we hope we can have you on for more podcasts in the future.
More conversations?
Yes, more conversations and more chit-chats.
That's good.
Okay, thanks. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Shared Steps, the RDI Journey. If you found today's conversation meaningful, I'd love for you to follow or subscribe so you won't miss the next episode. And if you know a parent or professional who might benefit from understanding RDI a little deeper, please share this podcast with them. Every small step helps us spread awareness across Southeast Asia and beyond. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to having you with me in the next episode.